Welcome to the Invasion Remake podcast. I'm your host, Jason Bishop, and it's, what is it today? Sunday, December the 13th here right now, but you guys listening to this, it's going to be December 30th. So we hope you had a Merry Christmas, and we got one more Christmas episode for you. And yes, I'm going to say Christmas, and, fuck you PC people.
Drink every time you hear Christmas.
That's right.
Happy holidays, everyone.
Happy Hanukkah, and
Kwanzaa,
Feliz Navidad, and of course, we'll bid you a Happy New Year, because that's a couple days away. So, And today we are talking about the 1959 Santa Claus movie from Mexico.
Yes.
Which we all going into it just called Santa versus Satan.
Yes.
And this movie is fucking bonkers.
It's totally bonkers. Trish found it somehow. How did you find it?
I Wikipedia'd it, and then I said Santa versus Satan. Of course. I want to watch that. Just looking for something with like a great idea that we could do, which is the point of this podcast, is to find movies that may not have been executed properly in the first place, but have a nugget of an idea that would be wonderful if you could just rework it in a different way.
I didn't introduce you guys. Jeff McNair and Trish Conklin, everybody.
All right.
It's like episode 19. They should know who we are.
That's right. I just like...
But they won't know who our guest is.
They won't.
Why don't you make introductions?
Well, today I have brought one of the best... I bought.
You bought me.
We'll get into that with this movie.
You better pay her for this.
I probably should. I feel so bad. I brought one of the best comedians in Calgary right now, Amy Bug, everybody.
Woo! Hey, what's up?
Lots of nice little pops on my
Sorry.
mixer. No, that's great. It's great. So, 1959 Santa Claus movie. This was written and directed by a bunch of people that I can't really pronounce, but I'm going to try.
I was waiting for this part of the show, actually.
Okay, so...
Do you want me to make an effort, or have you written it down?
It was directed and written by Rene Cardona.
Oh, nice. Okay,
Thank
you did
that. Thank you very much. And co-written by Adolfo Torres Portillo. Not bad. Okay,
we'll go with that.
And anybody who wants to try the actors, it's not like anybody... The Spanish actors all got dubbed over anyway, so
true. Out
of the version I think we all saw.
And largely left out of any kind of cast listing for it.
Yeah. Although, let's try this. Jose Elias Moreno was Santa Claus. Cesaro Quazadas was Pedro in my IMDb listing, but that's Pitch. The demon.
Yeah, that confused me.
Yeah, he wasn't. Who the hell was Pedro? Was
Pedro the little rich boy?
Pedro's the kid.
He was the little kid
in the cowboy outfit in Santa's black dude child labor force.
Right.
Oh yeah,
the guy that manned the telescope.
Yeah, he manned the telescope.
There we go. Yes.
And Jose Luis
the child
Aguirre was
peeper.
El Diablo, which was Pitch.
El Diablo.
He's credited as El Diablo, but they call him Pitch, which I like better anyway.
Yeah, well, he's supposed to be a demon, not really the devil himself.
And Armando Aurelio was Merlin. And I'm not going to get into any more after that because they get really hard to pronounce.
No Lupita?
Lupita, actually, I don't know if I wrote that down. So
it's only principal characters, no big deal.
No big deal, but at the same time, I think all the children on here were kidnapped off the streets of Mexico.
She looks horrified the whole movie.
They all do. And, man, let's get into that opening.
All right.
I was actually hoping you could just, run from the minute the beginning credits stop until he finishes laughing and goes to the organ, because it's the most maniacal shit I have ever heard.
Yeah.
And then he gets that's 10 minutes. Yeah. That is a long
of him laughing.
Insane
laughing and him laughing and over all the children that he's kidnapped and taken.
I do have a clip later on where he gets run up the tree, and there's a little bit of him laughing up there, but that's the big scene. So.
Yeah, that's the climax of our picture. Santa gets caught in a tree.
So, Amy, what did you first think when I pitched this to you and you started watching it and you're like, oh no, what has Trish done to me?
Well, I don't even know, because I was like, okay, well, it's super old. And then I was like, it's dubbed, but I don't know over what. And I was like, every child from every country was there. So I'm like, I don't even know what country this is coming from? And then I was like, oh, they're focusing on the Mexican children.
Yes, the Mexican children, the only ones who could sing, really. Everybody else was tone deaf.
Skipped over all the white children. Why even
we got
bother?
the Americans, and there were no Canadians. I wanted to point that out.
Yeah, I know. I saw that too.
Yeah, no Canadian. Maybe we're just too close. So.
But there was just something terrible about it, like just a child workforce. He's like, he says at the beginning, I better get to making the toys. No, you don't do dick. These children are making all the toys.
Yeah, he plays his Viking war drums a la a giant church organ.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know if you guys noticed this, but like they were working outside because it was snowing all the time.
Yeah.
So not only does he have this child labor force from kidnapped from around the world, they're forced to work outside, and they eat clouds. Apparently,
I guess it was how they got around sweatshops. You can't sweat when you're outside in the cold.
Yeah, you can't sweat
Well,
when
yeah, I
you're,
guess when you're living...
you're an interplanetary being.
Yeah,
I
all
love.
those castles in the sky.
Castles in the
I don't
sky.
know where they get their Santa legend from, but
It was awesome.
It was crazy. This castle floating in space, and
One of three.
yeah, one of three. We don't know.
We don't know what the other
I'm
two-
guessing
Easter Bunny.
Merlin lives in another one of them, and
Maybe.
Really? I was going with Easter Bunny or Tooth
and
Fairy.
his caveman Q guy that builds his keys.
Yeah.
No, that was Vulcan.
Vulcan. I missed
Or
his name.
Hephaestus in, like, I think, Greek.
Greek.
So we got some good mythology representation there.
Oh, for sure.
But when he's checking out all his child labor workforce, and it opens up with the children from Africa, and
Amazing.
I have to note that that one just like, this is going to be bad when they're all in loincloths and spears and stuff in their hands. And I'm like, this is one of the worst stereotypes you could do. And then they did all these regions around the world
Wait,
of his
was
child
the
labor force,
country
and they're all like that. They're
just
all
Africa?
stereotyped.
Oh, yeah. Was it? Was it just Africa?
Yeah.
Or was it Kenya?
No,
I think it was just Africa. They were
Yeah.
just being kind of vague of where he kidnapped his children from. It felt like these were all the losers from Hunger Games, you know?
No, they were the tributes.
Yeah. They were
The
all-
losers die in Hunger Games, but the tributes are just the people that get, like, sent.
Yes, these are the children that were sacrificed to Santa Claus's child labor camp from, okay, well, I'll bring you gifts, but the rest of the year I could be terrorizing you unless you add to my child labor force. So what happened to the elves?
I know, yeah. I think
They go on strike?
The first thing about this movie that has to go is the child workforce.
Workforce. I'm like,
No, I think elves are too far-fetched for this movie. They were like, no one will buy that.
yeah, no, the castle in the sky,
The space castle's fine.
and the stuff that didn't make it into Pee Wee Herman's playhouse.
I totally made a note of that. Yeah, he lives in an insaner version of Pee Wee's Playhouse.
Yeah,
That mouth.
I get the
thing
feeling
is the
Tim
craziest
Burton saw this movie.
shit. Maybe he did. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of aesthetic stolen. Well, no.
Well,
Pee-wee
the
did design on that with a different guy.
Yeah.
But I figure Tim Burton might have seen it because, the three bad children? At one point they planned to kidnap Santa so that they can have him for themselves and have all the stuff that he has.
It's the same
They are
plan,
lock,
too.
shock, and barrel from Nightmare Before Christmas.
They totally
Yeah.
are. Actually, let's run this trailer, and then we'll really get deep into this thing.
Whether you're in a cave or behind a million mountains, Santa Claus sees you through his master eye and invites you to his magic wonderland. See Santa Claus in his magic motion picture come past the doors of his towering castle into a fantastic crystal laboratory filled with weird and wonderful secrets, into his heavenly workshop, the most marvelous toy factory of all. Watch his battle with a mischievous demon who wants to get children into trouble. You'd better watch out. You'll want to shout about the picture that won the Golden Gate Family Film Award. Everyone, everywhere, is waiting for the K. Gordon Murray presentation, Santa Claus, in Eastman Colorscope. Saturday and Sunday matinee only at a theater near you.
All right, that was the trailer for Santa Claus from 1959, and low-budget children's movie, and with a creepy tone. Like it's Santa Claus versus.
But to be fair, like I don't know how low budget could it be for 1959.
It seemed pretty.
It seemed pretty decent budget for 1959.
Well, for a foreign film too. I mean, it's not going to look as good as like Wizard of Oz and set wise, but they certainly had fun building shit.
Well, I think it's like part of the golden age of Mexican cinema. Where it was, they had a whole golden age. Yeah, there is a whole thing. There was like a large period of time in Mexico where they were making a lot of movies, and there was a lot of crossover between like Mexican cinema, like coming up to Hollywood. There's lots of crossover with actors. They were doing there's some really decent movies that came out like of that time. There's like a great Dracula where I can't remember who was in it. Well, yeah, Dracula. The actor said that he preferred that version to the English version.
I do have that version. It was shot on the same sets as the classic Universal Dracula, and it was shot at night while they were shooting the American one during the day on the same sets. And the Mexican one is a better movie for sure. Yeah,
they were doing some great stuff there. But I have to say, when I was doing some research for it, there was a movie called Santa from 1931, and I'm like, ooh, they did another Santa movie? No, they didn't. What Santa's about is a woman whose husband was cheating on her, then she has to find shelter in a whorehouse, and then becomes a bitter and cynical old woman. It's not
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. But it's literally called Santa, and it's from 1931.
Is it Mexican?
It's Mexican, so I think it was like around Saint.
Awesome.
So they were just like playing with the name.
It meant
point,
well,
right?
No, I think it just meant like Santa meant Saint, like Santa Maria.
Like a soft pass. They're like, well, this did okay.
But yeah, I forgot it was Mexico, so I think, Santa. I just automatically thought Santa.
Right.
Yeah. Does he call himself Papa Noel at one point?
Yep.
Yeah. That's weird. I've never heard that.
Well, he goes by different names. Like in the UK, he's Father Christmas, Santa Claus.
Yeah,
Germany.
I like that they do kind of acknowledge that, even though this all
it's a worldly movie.
Yeah,
Mexican kids painted white are playing children of all races. That's awesome. I actually was disappointed.
Sure, there are lighter-skinned Mexican children.
I was disappointed that like the Chinese children, the Japanese children, and the quote Oriental children, which is Indian, weren't more racist. I was a little disappointed, honestly. I was hoping,
weren't more racist?
Yeah, I was hoping
they
would like push that bar a little
You
further.
wanted a Mickey Rooney breakfast at Tiffany's type of deal?
Totally. Like, they set the bar so high with the African children, and I felt like they
You
just
wanted
got
like
lazy.
Peter Lorre playing Chinese?
Oh, that would have been amazing. Have him dub it. He should have dubbed Santa Claus. That would be a way better movie.
Peter Lorre as Santa Claus. That would be awesome. Because Santa does come off a bit creepy at times.
Oh my god, he is super creepy. Does he ever blink? Did you guys notice he never blinks in like any scene?
Oh my god,
super weird.
I did not notice that, but yeah. They were probably eye-dropping him between scenes.
So Santa Claus is on acid the entire time. I just imagine like a Clockwork Orange type of deal.
Yeah. I got the feeling the drugs were flowing free.
Take his eyes off the children, that's why.
Oh yeah, he's always watching.
Always watching them.
Always
Can't blink.
watching. And he has high-tech Bizarro equipment.
Oh, that one
Let's
eye.
Let's talk about the high-tech Bizarro equipment. It is some giant's face that's been dismembered and made into this James Bond equipment.
But then there's like the tiny little one-eyed monster tube thing that kind of creeps out and looks at things.
Yeah, well, he's got this big telescope thing from the inside, but then
very rape tentacle-like.
From the outside, yeah, it's this eye stalk that pokes out and looks at the planet.
It reminded me of War of the Worlds. That eye stalk thing. It just reminded me of War of the Worlds.
Okay, except this one actually looked like an eye.
It looked like an eye.
And to listen in, of course, there is like a satellite dish-looking thing.
With a giant ear in it.
Which was really just a fan with an ear on it.
Yeah.
Because you could actually see the fan blades behind it, which is really funny. So it was an oscillating fan.
And then, like you say, the Pee-wee's Playhouse level where there's like the gauges, but they look kind of like a face.
Yeah. And then
the mouth was the creepiest part.
Oh my god.
What was that made out of?
I think it was made of the stuff they make fleshlights out of.
It looked very porous.
It was a prototype fleshlight. So you could put
what was Santa doing when those elves weren't around? Oh no,
they're not around.
There's no elves.
They're not. It's just children.
Now we understand why they left.
Yeah.
No, seriously, they probably figured elves were too far-fetched. It didn't fit in with the mythos, which included heaven and hell.
Yeah.
Santa Claus.
Mm-hmm.
What else do we have?
Crazy Merlin.
Merlin, yeah, that was the other thing too. And alchemy and witchcraft
Yeah.
And there was another one.
But
I
elves,
made a note. No, elves are ridiculous. No one will buy that.
No.
Well, they're probably more expensive.
They are, yeah. If you're gonna, well, they probably figured out, hey, we shouldn't be a slave labor force.
Elves are unionized.
And kids are stupid, so...
I'm pretty sure in 1959 Mexico there was no such thing as a union, but...
No, is it a thing in 2015?
Probably
No,
not.
there's a whole communist movement down there, wasn't there? I could be wrong.
Before my time.
Okay. I'm thinking of Frida Kahlo. Very huge in the communist socialist.
So if you
Frida
had a magical gold key like Santa had made by
built
Vulcan,
by Vulcan, yeah.
that could unlock any door on Earth. Now, I get the impression that that's sort of like an annual thing, like he has to have it made. So, like, if you put like a new lock Christmas Day, then you wouldn't get any presents. So, do you think that the poor children didn't get anything because their parents were paranoid and kept?
I'm guessing the magic.
No.
You have to build the new key because the magic expires. It's like milk; you got to use it in a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
I was more concerned about how these are just tools to become a predator.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh yeah.
a key that could open any door, and he had magic powder that could make people fall asleep. It was just very unnerving.
Oh my god, yeah, you're right.
And the flower to turn invisible.
Yeah.
Oh,
it's
so
like-
he could totally
Put that in the
victimize
wrong
you.
hands.
Oh,
Yeah.
I mean, the pedophile vibe in this movie is extreme.
It's very strong.
To be fair, I think it all starts with the children in the workshop. Like to have somebody like he's got. It sounds like prisoner children.
Yeah, the only thing he was missing was the white windowless van.
But he had white, soulless reindeer.
Yeah, those
the
were
robot
awful.
wind-up reindeer were kind
And
of
that
creepy,
noise that
too.
reindeer made, I didn't know reindeer made a noise.
What the hell?
I don't know if that was it. Like, did they just, like,
It's
record
not
his
even
maniacal
remotely it.
cackle and then play it backwards? And then, like, its lip curled, which I thought was brilliant. Like,
Yeah.
very good animatronic.
Yeah, I don't
And, like,
think
he has,
that's nothing.
it's just a toy sled. Santa's got to wind it. That'll last all day.
And that almost takes an hour.
Oh, yeah.
I know.
Just
get
the
to this
kid
point.
intro is unreal.
That's like 10, 15 minutes.
That's what I
to
say.
do
Yeah,
that.
10, 15 minutes, just all the kids from around the
Yeah.
world.
With this creepy organ playing and laughter and never blinking. And it's creepy. Do you think his beard was real? It looked real.
I think if you fleshed
don't
out the
know.
story, you could streamline this movie really good. Like I would ditch most of what happened in the castle and make most of it about the battle on Earth.
Yeah. Well, he starts peeking in on kids, and he sees actually, there's three focus
Three
groups.
Three groups
There's
of children.
the rich kids whose parents are kind of neglecting him,
But he's a good kid.
but he's a good kid. Then there's Lupita, who's a poor good kid.
She skirts the line.
Well, I mean, that's being tempted by the devil.
Yeah, but exactly.
She was not tempted by the devil to steal that doll the first time. She
No,
just
he's-
took it.
Oh,
And
that's
then
true. Then he
came
says
after
stuff.
and was like, "You should take it."
yeah.
And then I can't wait till we get to the doll.
And that made me wonder if the narrator's almost a character in and of itself, because it's narrated through the whole thing. And
Which is
he's
awesome.
talking to the characters at times. No, Lupita,
No,
no.
Lupita.
So he's the opposite. You know, there's the devil on the shoulder scenario, and he's the conscience of the characters, in a way. Not like anybody can hear him, but...
Yeah, well, it's like those kind of what
Well,
they have
he
the
says
British
they-
pantos where they're on stage and like, look behind you. Oh no, like it's supposed to be that sort of you're part of the story type of deal. I think his purpose is to be the audience, be like, no, don't do that.
Yeah, he's the voice of the audience and trying to get the
Or the
kids
voice of
involved.
God.
Ooh.
Could be.
I mean, the
No.
There's some religious.
this is
overtones.
heavily Catholic, so...
Mm.
Yeah, it's not people are just bad. The devil just tempts them to do it. No, people can be bad.
they're
Definitely
inherently
felt guilty after it.
Yeah.
Yes,
Well, and
truly.
the third group is the three boys,
Mm-hmm.
and
The three sociopathic boys.
yeah, they'd be really bad adults too. Like these kids should be in juvie at least, and probably adult jail.
See, they really don't need any tempting at all. Like
No.
it's like the work is there. They don't have to do anything.
No,
Like
No,
Pitt should have not paid any attention. I was like, these guys will do it for themselves. I don't have to.
Well, our lesser demon summoned up rocks. That was pretty intense. Seeing it's like he's invisible and you can't hear him. He's like, here, use these rocks out of nowhere.
And they just know to throw them, but somehow Santa gets hit with the rock.
Because
yeah, in his face. He gets hit. I guess any representation of Santa Claus that gets defaced is also... Cause was that a robot Santa Claus in that store?
Yes,
Yes.
it was a robot Santa Claus.
It was terrifying.
It was.
I was horrified.
Face.
That man who just laughed and laughed, like Lapita's mom said. I'm like, yeah, it never stopped.
Yeah, no, and yeah, Santa Claus takes the rock to the head. Now, Pitch is a demon from hell that's been sent by Lucifer to ruin Christmas, essentially.
Yeah.
I had a hard time deciding if it was Pitch with a P or Pitch with a B.
I know, right?
Santa
He was
seems
very
to
gay.
say...
Because he was acting like a
Pitch with a B.
bitch.
Yeah, bitch. You little bitch.
He's clearly like a trained ballet dancer or something. Hey, like he just had all this like stage flair. And
Now, I
everything
was kind of wondering, like,
Very physical.
If I came out with any kind of lesson from this movie, is that interpretive dance is pure evil.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah.
And so are puffy pants.
And puffy pants.
And Spanish people that kind of look like Michael Richards.
Oh my god, yeah. That's what he looked like. I'm with you.
And his like glossy grease paint.
Yeah,
But
the
they
red.
had ears that matched, which was amazing. I don't know if they painted the ears also.
And the ears that they move, but they're like kind of just taped at the top.
He had like the best devil costume. It would be like a bad Day of the Dead devil costume, basically.
Yeah.
With puffy dance pants.
We had the long, pointy chin. Like, yeah, he was the typical, what you'd think of a devil looking like from the 40s kind of thing, yeah.
And he was threatened to be submerged in ice cream if he didn't...
Chocolate ice cream, no less.
Yeah.
And he's like, but no, chocolate makes my tummy upset.
I'm like,
You're right, he was a little bitch.
yeah, I'm like, wow. Wasn't what it used to be.
Hell's so different, guys.
Yeah, it doesn't sound all that bad.
Now, wasn't there a moment where I can't remember if it's when he convinces the kids to throw the rock through the window or something, but he kind of was like really pleased with himself. He's like, oh, the devil's going to love this.
Yeah, the standards are fairly low.
Fairly
back
low,
then.
yeah.
Yeah, he does some stuff like he's not very good at this. Like it's almost as if Lucifer is like, I don't want this plan to work. I'm going to send my most incompetent demon to go do this work for me.
But near the end, he's trying
He ramps it up.
he ramps it up. Like he's trying to convince adults that there's a serial killer outside.
I know,
that's
but he's
coming
still-
to get 'em.
And
Yeah.
you know when he's whispering to the mom while she's sleeping, he's telling her there's a rapist. You know that's happening.
Yeah.
They don't say it, but you know.
Yeah.
And
I don't
then
know,
you get
it's,
some like...
it's some sort of predator.
Yeah, it's creepy. Yeah, I guess his whole plan wasn't really to ruin Christmas. It was to expose Santa.
Yeah.
Yeah, which would ruin Christmas, but it's not. The original plan, what he was supposed to do was make all the kids behave badly.
Yeah.
So, like, just to do evil in the world, not expose Santa Claus. But that's what he ends up doing at the end.
Yeah, to do evil, and then that's kind of his plan B.
He's an ambitious bitch.
He's like, yeah, fine, I can't get all the kids to do badly, but you know what? I'm going to take down the ringleader.
So yeah, oh man, so yeah, he's got like this high tech stuff. He gets the sand, the mystical sand.
Yeah, there's a sand that
from
makes
Merlot.
kids go to sleep.
Yeah, and
For the
Merlin.
dream.
I don't know what the hell's going on with Merlin, but
Why does he sing every time he takes a step? That was really annoying.
Well, I think he was pretending he was riding a horse. Because at one
I
point
don't
they
know.
say, "No, you don't. Now's not the time to pretend you're
Play
on a horse.
horsey."
Play horsey." And he's every time he's walking and kind of got this little hop. I'm like, "You're insane."
Yeah, like
You're
I feel
absolutely
it was
insane.
a very insensitive portrayal of mental illness.
It's this whole movie.
Well, yeah, very insensitive portrayal of mental illness and, child abduction.
predation. Yeah, it was. Yeah, Merlin was a bizarre addition to the mythos of Santa Claus.
Well, yeah, well,
No more
Vulcan
bizarre
was too.
than his blacksmith.
His blacksmith. But the idea of having Vulcan do it makes sense. Because, like, he was, like, one of the gods, like, he would create things, like ironwork, and he would do things. Like, that's why he was there. Vulcan makes sense. Merlin, not quite as much, but considering what Merlin was producing for him, that Merlin kind of makes sense, because it's got to be magical powders and magical things, like, but the flower thing, I don't really get.
No.
He sniffs the flower and he goes invisible. What's
But
hard
then
to
he
get?
sniffs it again,
Pretty-
and then he comes back.
Well, they never say that.
Well, that's what they show.
Well, they don't show anything. They show him leaning back and sniffing the
it.
flower. He goes
and
invisible.
then he's like, "Oh no, how do I get back?"
And he
then
says-
he's
he
sniffing
says-
it when he comes back.
He is, but he hasn't changed position. So Merlin said the same as last year. Idiot, basically. So
Yeah,
something
which-
else.
Really? Because it sounds like he's just sniffing it again.
It's probably just rubbing one out before it comes back.
My phone went off. I owe everybody a beer.
Oh.
Nice. We'll take you up on that.
Not you guys listening. Sorry, I don't have a bottomless pit of beer in my fridge. So,
but yeah, like what was it? It was like one where it was like a thing to make kids go to sleep. One was like a dream, but you think you're awake.
The sleep dream one was the same.
The sleep dream was the same powder. Okay.
Yeah, flower to go invisible. Key that unlocks any door annually.
Yes.
Robot deer, wind up robot deer, soulless deer. With the shitty slur, like, oh, yeah. Oh,
and
remember when the Russian kids were trying to convince him to make a Sputnik?
Yeah, Sputnik. He's like, he doesn't like, they were like, you got to ramp it up, get rid of the sled. We like, have
yes,
spaceships
a modern
and
space
Sputnik.
vehicle would be good for interplanetary travel. Like, thanks, Santa. It's 1959. I love
Space race is on.
The Earth, it's like, maybe it looks like this,
Yep.
because they weren't quite there yet.
Yeah.
Even in, 64... in Space Odyssey, they didn't get it right. It's close, but yeah, crazy. I just thought that part was really out of nowhere.
Yeah,
I'm surprised he didn't hit them for speaking out of turn.
I know, right?
Just load the sled.
I'm wondering if he just has to get more children as they age out of being useful at the North Pole, or do they remain perpetually young and in this hell?
I think he eats them.
Hopefully not too much, because we do notice that he has to exercise so he can be thin enough to get down the chimneys.
Yeah, his exercise is this old school vibrating belt that he throws on his belly.
Yeah.
But his training gym is amazing. It's just like these fake chimneys sitting there, and he's like, "Yeah, I fit.
I fit in this chimney. I fit in this chimney."
Did you guys feel that the actor had a really hard time with the rope ladder?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
It was painful to watch him try to do it. It was like watching an old man try to operate a rope ladder.
I think it was just this old fat guy.
Well, and as we've established, he dies 10 years after this movie. He was an older gentleman.
Right.
Rope ladders are hard for anyone, though, really.
Yeah, true, but
It's a poor
it
choice
just
for
looked
Sam.
terrible for him. Just very arduous.
Oh, we're forgetting the most hilarious scene in the movie and the best device that he had at his disposal.
Oh, the parasol?
The parasol.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
I love that bit where it's like Santa can just lower himself down on his magical parasol, and he just stands there, and it's like you can tell he's just lowering himself really slowly. I rewound it and called my wife into the room so that she could watch that sequence. It was brilliant. So I watched it at least twice.
It was good.
Was
So
this pre-Mary Poppins?
59?
59, I'm not
Maybe
sure.
not for the book, I guess.
Yeah, maybe not.
Yeah, I don't know.
But yeah, Mary Poppins had its own story before that, didn't it?
Oh yeah,
It wasn't.
it was
that
a
movie
book.
wasn't written to be a movie.
Yeah,
it
no,
was
it would have been
a story prior.
And maybe they just took that. They obviously took it from there.
that
Yeah, the Disney movie was in 64.
Okay, yeah. I kind of figured it
Mary
was
Poppins
way later.
is before the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, the magical parasol, which of course is because.
Oh yeah, in the 30s.
But then we get to the reason why he needs to use the magical parasol, which is because Pitch has moved the chimney out of the way, and you can still see the giant hole where the rest of the chimney is located.
You'd have just gone down the hole.
Yeah.
Well, no, because he stands there.
No, it's there. I watched it. He walks around it. He
Does he
doesn't
walk
get
around
into it.
That's so weird.
Yeah, they left the hole just sitting there.
Yeah,
just
he gets
out in
into the
open.
chimney and he gets about just down to his knees or whatever.
He's like, "Oh no, there's nothing behind it," and doesn't even look. And there's a giant. It's a giant hole.
yeah, it's
about the size of this living room.
Yeah, it turns into Looney Tunes for a while.
Yeah.
Well, just the last half.
Yeah.
Well, in the first half, actually.
A lot of it. A lot of it's Looney Tunes.
And his castle's like Marvin Martian's lair. And,
Yeah.
I don't know if I was Santa Claus, I'd paint a hole and then just go down it because that's how it works, right?
We didn't have any magic.
If the cartoon physics work for the demon, it should work for Santa Claus as well.
Yeah. Well, if he's got the key, just go in the door again. That's why you've got the key. Why are you relying on chimneys?
And that is super creepy that he just has a key, just walks in, puts everybody to sleep with magic powder. And there's that weird truth serum or whatever, regret serum that he gives the parents.
Oh yeah, with the parents.
And
It's a remembrance serum.
Remembrance serum, and they're like, well, and he's like, oh, only a couple in love can take it. And they're like, well, what if we're not in love, right? Because they ask.
Oh, yeah.
And he's like, basically, it will boil your insides out.
It'll boil your inside out. So I'm going, if you don't have love, you can't drink. And I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, okay,
So,
so
commit.
screw you.
And they're like,
if
all
you're
right.
if you're a single person and don't have love in your life, Santa just says, suck it. That's all he doesn't
Some
give a shit about
stranger
you.
gives you this bubbling thing and tells you it's going to melt your insides, and of course you're going to drink it.
Would you drink it?
Yeah, sure, why not?
Oh, God.
Oh God, was I the only one who thought these people were insane?
No.
I like to party, so.
You like to party, yes. You're like, who knows what's going to happen
Yeah,
now?
why
Ain't no
doesn't
party
Santa-
like a Santa Claus party.
That's true, but it usually ends up in sleeping, and you don't remember a Santa Claus party.
Yeah.
Now when he's poking
that's
in
not
onto the
party at
kids'
all.
dreams, I don't know.
creepy.
It is kind of creepy, and the first kid, he dreams about these giant presents full of his parents. So,
Yeah.
oh, you poor neglected child.
I know,
That's
right?
what you want.
He just wants his parents there.
Yeah, and then Lupita, who is obsessed with dolls, and after her dream, I'm like, I think I'd want something else. Cause,
Her dream was amazing.
yeah.
I
Was so
love it.
creepy and uncoordinated.
Oh yeah, it was bad dancing. I kind of, in my version, I want that to stay in, but I want it just a brilliantly well choreographed piece and not, I don't know, the High School Musical without, flashiness.
Yeah, I mean maybe it was the mask.
Claire Somme High School Musical, like rural Alberta High School Musical type of level of polish.
Oh man.
It was bad, and I think with the double-headed,
I like the double-headed dolls.
and they don't
That's creepy.
hide it. It just they're just hey, this thing has two sides for no real reason.
No, I think it was part to make it more nefarious because these are evil dolls encouraging her to steal.
It was super nefarious. Yeah, and then they're on her to steal, and she's like, "No, stealing is evil.
I will not
I
steal.
will not steal." And she'll just repeat herself over and over and over again. I don't know if she got scared of those dolls. I would have. So I don't know if anybody
She
else,
looks terrified that whole time.
So the set design for that, they come out of the parent-sized boxes,
Yes.
but the lids lift up, right, rather than come off like they did in the other one. So I don't know if anybody noticed this, and maybe I was too into that scene, but the shadow cast on the wall was Stonehenge. Did anybody else see that? And I'm not bullshitting you. It straight up was Stonehenge.
Well, we already have alchemy in this.
Yeah,
thing,
I just so
Why
that
not? I
takes
guess might
that
as well
to,
throw
some
that
more,
in.
some more
weird new
pagan
level, I don't
imagery.
know. But yeah, totally. And then with the dancing,
I'll
and
have to
trying
find that spot.
yeah, go back to it and just the first shot of it. Well, every shot, but the first shot when they pan back and they've started dancing, the lighting on the boxes, it forms Stonehenge in the background.
Yeah.
It was really weird.
But you see, I love that. But that scene actually has a whole lot of potential to it. You could do something really amazing with it. I feel.
I thought it was really amazing.
Well, the
No,
fact that you
you
call
could
it
polish it up.
this Stonehenge thing, I'm like, now that's starting to roll in my brain.
You
what
could
you
polish
do with
it up
that.
a lot and make it more kind of otherworldly and more like a dream sequence, not just dry ice and people dancing not very well together.
I love the smoke transitions and everything. Every scene is a smoke
How much
transition.
dry ice did this movie go through? I think that's 90% of its budget.
There's no snow anywhere. Did you guys notice any snow?
Nope.
Well, I mean, this is the main parts of his deliveries are happening in Mexico,
yeah.
so
It only snows on the children who have to work outside to make the toys.
well, yeah, no kidding. It's snowing and they're forced to sing songs and
And all of them have to play ukulele.
yeah.
And you notice they're rebelling, right? Because when they're filling the sack, they're just throwing all the ukuleles we just saw in the dance number in the sack. Right? So there's a sequel to this movie that never happened, but they revolted.
There you
Yeah.
go.
City of Lost Children, I'm telling you.
It's
direct-
interesting that you bring that up because
Direct
I have a
sequel to
link.
this movie.
I have a link to that.
Nice.
Because when I was doing research for my remake, I thought about it and I'm like, wait a minute, that's how I want it to look. I want it to look visually like City of Lost Children. And then I thought, wait a minute, there's a fucking Santa Claus in that movie too.
Was there?
There
Yes, there
was.
Yeah, that was also a
Nice.
creepy
Yeah.
scene. There you go. Well, it all comes together then.
It is, and we'll get to that.
City of Lost Children is secretly the sequel to this movie.
Maybe.
What else can we say about this movie? There's so much.
There's
it's
well, it's so nuts. Okay,
so gonzo. It's
so
ridiculous.
the big plan for Pitch is to keep him from delivering. Oh, the mechanical wind-up reindeer will turn to dust if exposed to sunlight in the morning.
So he has to get there before sun.
So I'm not sure how mechanical reindeer will turn to dust, but
It's part of the magical crap that
Yeah.
has to go.
Even though they say it's a giant toy sled. So
But
his,
then there's the other part of it too. Is even after if they turn to dust and he can't get off Earth, he can only eat the stuff that they have up in the castle.
Are the reindeer actually doing
Santa
anything?
Santa will starve to death if left on Earth.
He's got rockets on the back of the thing. I always just assumed that they were ornamental at that point.
I think they're just for show.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe
So who gives a shit if they turn to dust?
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they're like, when you have a boat, what's the thing at the back? A rudder. Maybe they're like a rudder type of deal.
I don't know. I don't know the aerodynamics of mechanical reindeers, so
or magical sleds. We have to admit we have a blind spot in our
Amy,
magical
do you have a
sled
theory?
knowledge.
I believe the physics are all wrong.
Physics.
The aerodynamics, yeah.
The aerodynamics of this.
Those big reindeer antlers would just slow them down so much.
That is true. That is true.
I'm going to go with the Sputnik theory. I think that's a much better call.
It's a more practical type of vehicle.
Just have 12 satellites just pulling you along.
That would work better.
Yeah.
Did you catch how
captive Russian children were onto something?
Yeah, exactly.
But did you notice how Santa visits other planets during Christmas? Did you catch that?
I did, yeah.
Mars, Venus, and Jupiter. He delivers presents to those 3 planets also.
Or the Mars rover is still looking for that town.
Yeah, they'll find it.
They'll find it. It's found water, so it's got to be close.
Yep.
Matt Damon's up there too.
Yeah, they're just looking for Matt Damon.
Hey,
that's the only reason he went, to bring presents to Matt Damon. He gets a doll or something, and he's like, no, fucking get me off this goddamn planet. That's what I want for Christmas.
They're like, no, Matt Damon, box office won't support this.
well, they can't go searching for him again. The studio spent so much money searching for and rescuing Matt Damon.
Matt Damon needs to be rescued all the time.
All the time.
Every year.
I'll say this, though. The Martian is the best potatoes in space movie ever made, and I stand by that.
Oh, okay.
Guaranteed.
I think we established in a previous podcast that I think it's the only potatoes in space movie.
True. It's right up there with Over the Top. The greatest arm wrestling movie ever made.
Oh, God.
Possibly only.
Yeah.
Well, then let's get back to a better movie.
We may
Santa
remake
Claus.
that
Santa
one at some point.
Santa Claus is better than Over the Top.
We'll turn our hats backwards and get ready to remake
know.
Over the Top.
Yes, it is.
So
I will
Pitch's
stand by
plan
that.
goes from making kids smash windows to murdering Santa Claus in the course of about an hour.
Yeah.
Because if
Well, no, they
Santa's-
wanted to kidnap him and make him their slave.
That was the kids, though.
Yeah, that was the kids. That was a great idea.
How does he corner Santa Claus to get an angry mob after him? He chases him up a tree with a dog after clipping his bag, so he loses the flour and his magical
I thought there was
powder.
a knife when he pulled out the scissors.
That's what I thought so too. I thought he was just going to outright stab Santa.
Yeah.
And then he sneezes, and apparently Santa can't see him, but he does, because we see in a previous scene where he plays a trick. Santa's behind him.
Now, what's dumb is he's like, whenever he's around, Santa smells sulfur. Now, Santa is in his sleigh. His sleigh is way up in the sky, away from, where else does he think his sulfur smell is coming from? That means Pitch is right nearby. It's on his sleigh. Santa's kind of he's an idiot predator. That's part of what Santa is in this movie. He's a big idiot predator.
There's 2 predators on the same turf is what's going on.
Well, he's clearly mentally unstable. Nobody laughs that much.
Yeah,
Because it isn't a jolly laugh. It's downright maniacal.
Yeah, it's creepy.
It's forced. Yeah, I found it was very forced.
Yes, it doesn't feel natural.
No.
I don't feel his joy.
Just keep slimming. Yeah.
You don't feel the joy?
I don't feel the joy.
That's what he says to the children, too.
Oh.
Feel my joy.
This got dark fast, guys. This got dark fast.
Does anyone remember our Grinch episode?
That is true. We did accuse
Where
him of
you
terrorism.
found the porn parody?
Yeah, the Grinch who gaped Christmas. Yeah.
Yeah, so let's face it.
I'm assuming Christmas is
Christmas, people are going. This is going to be an annual thing of us just being really disgusting at Christmas.
Yeah, the porn parody of this would be insane.
I didn't even want to look at porn parodies because I don't think they did this one specifically, but there's probably a million Santa Claus
For sure.
fucking people parodies. So.
There's probably a dozen with elves all over the place.
There'd be lots if they got that flour and all this magic powder.
No, those would be crimes.
Yeah, that's called rape.
Porns are generally when somebody gets paid and it's okay.
The flower lands at Lupita's house. I'm thinking the dust landed at Bill Cosby's house.
We can only fucking
Again? We went 2 whole podcasts without making a Bill Cosby rape joke. And then we're right back here again.
Well,
hey, if he stops, we'll stop. He can suck it.
Yeah, cut it out, Billy. Cut it out.
Yeah, no, please stop.
If only one of those women had caught it on some Kodak film. Then.
Okay, yeah. So,
oh, no.
So, yeah, after losing his predator items, he passes this dog named Dante.
Yes.
Which they called Daddy.
Yeah, which is
creepy.
Which I don't know why they know what the name was. I don't know why they would.
Yeah, it's right in the doghouse, and then Pitch, calls it Daddy, or
get him, Daddy.
Yeah.
Or maybe it was just
weird.
a mispronunciation. But it was Dante, as in Dante's Inferno.
Yeah, which of course that dog's going to be a badass dog. So Pitch is talking in his ear like he does with the other children and stuff, trying to make him do things, and it's like, okay, chase Santa, and dog comes after Santa. Santa turns around. Well, you know what? Let's let this play out. I've got this lined up.
Yeah, and you can listen to how creepy Santa is.
Yeah. So let this play out.
Santa is not afraid of that dog. If he goes after him, he still thinks he can disappear.
Go get him, Daddy. See that old goat. Bite him. Finish him off.
How can old Pitch be so mean, sicking a vicious dog on Santa like that? The powders, the flour to disappear. No powders and no flour. What do I do now? Run, Santa! Climb the tree! It's your only chance!
Okay, so yes, the dog chases Santa up a tree.
Yep.
And there he stays for a good long while because he's afraid of the dog. Like, this is the big
climax.
Of
the movie,
yep.
This is the big climax. Dog chasing Santa up a tree. And meanwhile, Pitch is visiting the neighborhood houses and the parents sleeping and whispering.
There's somebody outside. Oh no.
Yeah, there's a predator, there's a thief, and cops are called and fire departments called.
And the Red Cross for some reason.
I
remember them announcing that. Why the Red Cross?
Suddenly this turned into some humanitarian disaster or something. And
yeah, I don't get it. I don't get it. But yeah, apparently everybody comes to converge on the street and Santa's like, oh no, they'll see Santa.
Yeah, this felt like the climax of Frankenstein, but just less exciting.
Yeah, no fire, just one single dog.
Yeah, one dog.
But they still spray everybody down with a hose for some reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we're here.
Well, he figures he's calling Merlin at this point, needing help or whatever, because Santa can't think on his own.
He's not very smart.
But he's got a hell of a long-distance plan in 1959 to space, because he's just shouting.
Well, they just it's basically they have all that stuff.
That ear satellite thing.
Yeah, so that's why they can hear him.
Yeah.
Otherwise, he'd just be SOL.
Yeah, and Merlin hippity hops into the giant mouth.
Use the cat, and then he throws like this mechanical cat down for the dog to chase away.
Out of his toy sack.
Mechanical cat. Is that what that was?
That's what it was supposed to be.
Yeah, that was amazing. It was like one of those rabbits, like on a dog track or whatever.
Yeah.
Like it just skits away. Doesn't even move. It's bizarre.
Yeah.
So when everybody converges on this tree, he's not there, and the crowds, everybody, all those parents and stuff were kind of building up their courage to go outside. It took everybody forever to get to this fucking tree.
I know, right?
Oh yeah, it was like 20 minutes.
Like emergency response time
sucks.
is horrible.
Yeah, and it's like a mass panic. But of course, here's the thing: if you're getting people upset about something, oh my god, something terrible is happening at this tree, you're not going to respond as quickly as like, oh no, somebody's knocking over a liquor store, because you have something concrete to go for.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean,
you're not going to respond to the call to a tree really quickly.
Yeah, so he takes off, but we missed what I like to think of the potentially assassination or kidnapping attempt of Santa Claus by those three children, one of which was dressed like Gilligan all the time.
Yeah, they bailed on that plan pretty quickly. They
did.
Stretched a rope out. And then they tested it to make sure it would trip someone, and then gave up. They were like, "Oh, fuck it."
Well, no, they didn't really give up. It's sort of all of a sudden, then something came spurting at them, and I think it was like Santa, like launch
Firing
some sort
a
of
laser at them?
Well, firing some sort of firework at him was what it looked like, and then they're like, "Oh no!" And like their eyes, like it was so bright, like their eyes were burning, and then they go downstairs, find coal, and then start fighting amongst themselves.
They still thought they'd actually have presence at that point
Yeah.
through intimidation or something. So.
And then he's like actually physically kicking the children, the devil guy.
Yeah,
Kicking
well,
that one in the butt.
yeah, and he's egging them on, and he needs to have some kind of fun. Well, that plan backfired. Let's at least have these kids start fighting amongst
that was
themselves.
the moment where he was like, "Oh, Lucifer will be pleased."
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. That whole storyline with those 3 kids, it doesn't really do anything.
No,
and it doesn't go anywhere.
When you hear them sometimes talking, they're talking up some pretty nasty stuff. Like
they're
gonna
sociopaths.
Oh yeah, they never do anything too horrible, but man, the stuff they talk about, I'm like, oh man, you're all going to be like serial killers when you're older. You guys just don't give a shit about anybody.
Or CEOs.
Or CEOs of giant
We'll
companies.
chain them up and you can continue granting us wishes.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, of course,
Yeah,
they're going to run major corporations, guys.
Oh, I think they're all like Donald Trump campaign managers now.
They're Walmart.
Walmart. And not greeters either.
No. They're the people that run Walmart.
That's right.
Yeah.
But we love Walmart, and we'd love to have
Actually,
you
no,
as a sponsor.
They wouldn't be Donald Trump supporters. Donald Trump hates Mexicans.
Hey-o.
But
But yeah, so I don't know, but
there aren't enough walls to hold out everybody out of the United States at this point in Trump's eyes.
yeah. Oh well, at this point, he doesn't have to worry about it. If he ever came into power, we'd basically be building a wall to keep them all in. We really no. You keep that Trump person in there.
Yeah,
we don't want him.
No,
going
everybody's
out.
going to be in favor of the walls to keep the Americans from
we'll
going
build
anywhere
it.
else.
Sorry, no refugees, guys.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, we're not going to get too political on this show, but
No. Let's get back to
his campaign has been very entertaining, if
True.
nothing else.
My entire
it's good
political knowledge
comedy.
is the 3 Donald Trump memes I keep seeing, and that's it. So
That's all you need.
Yeah, because that's pretty much his campaign.
His campaign is just stupid memes. That's the Donald Trump campaign.
Does this feed a lot of jokes to you guys on stage at this point?
The Donald Trump stuff?
Yeah, I mean, it's not a Canadian thing specifically, but does it come up in you guys' acts?
I have like a couple jokes about it because he really rips on.
It's hard not to, because
Yeah.
it's like politics is always good fodder for comedians, especially when they're crazy.
But it's like, honestly, the things he said are so awful that even repeating them, crowds are like, oh my god, what? Why?
Yeah.
Why remind us?
Yeah, they're like, oh no, they're right next door. We can't.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
so traumatic. It's like too soon. It's 9/11 traumatic at this
He
point.
might become president, maybe.
Well, and the thing is, like, that kind of stuff speaks to middle America. And when I get into these conversations with people, like, it got Bush in twice. You know, like, that's the kind of population that's naive enough to go for that.
Oh no,
Like,
I wouldn't go with
I hope
naive.
better, because, I mean, we have a large
Let's
U.S.
not say
audience
naive.
here.
Naive implies that they have no ill will. Stupid and fearful.
I think most U.S. people are pretty much over Trump at this point. You know, he went from interesting because he'll say whatever to wow, you're like you're psychotic. So I'm hoping
special kind of crazy.
that campaign's run its course and it's over, but because he's not really a viable candidate. I'm like, not in my mind, but.
For Pete's sake, a bald eagle attacked him.
Yeah, but hey, Americans, if
Their country symbol doesn't like him.
But yeah, exactly. So, worst comes to worst, we like refugees. Americans, you are very welcome to come here if he comes into power. We'll take you in.
You might have to.
are they going to run the election like they used to do American Idol when it first started? Be like, if you like Donald Trump, just dial in now and type in 2275.
I don't know.
Who else is even running? I don't even know.
Well,
Hillary Clinton again?
this is
Yeah,
still.
Hillary Clinton's in there.
Yeah,
This is still to see who runs on the Republican
Bernie
ticket.
Sanders.
Bernie Sanders.
Yeah, this is still deciding who's on the Republican ticket. So.
See, yeah, and I
This
can't
is-
think of any other Republicans.
I don't even know if the actual presidential run is going to be this interesting.
Do you know you can make and release a Star Wars movie in less time than it takes an American election campaign?
Oh, you are so right at this point.
Oh my god, isn't that next Friday?
Yeah, well, for
Yeah.
everybody who's listening to this podcast, it's actually been opened for a couple of weeks. For us, it opens next Friday.
Yes.
Well, no spoilers because I haven't seen it yet.
Oddly enough,
haven't either.
next week
Preemptively.
there is a Henry Rollins movie opening the same weekend that I'm sure I'm not going to be able to find in any theater, but. As interesting as Star Wars is to me, I'm kind of over it. So I actually want to. It's Henry Rollins playing Cain, like Cain and Abel Cain.
Ah.
Oh yeah, that's
See,
like
I
at
want to
the
see
film
Sisters with
festival.
Amy Poehler.
Yeah, it seems to be doing all right, and and being the big Rollins fan that I am, I'd rather see that.
So that was great, but back to this movie.
So Star Wars.
Star Wars what? Yeah, Star Wars. So Santa Claus.
To be
was,
fair, Santa Claus is in space, so Star Wars slightly appropriate.
I'm sure one of you is going to use Star Wars as a remake for this, but
Totally, I am now. I had no remake notes. I'm formulating it as we go.
Yeah, I have lots of remake notes.
well, we're almost there anyway. So Santa Claus gets chased up a tree, uses the toy to scare the dog off, or chase
leaves
the
a
dog
doll
off.
for Lupita.
And goes to visit Lupita and leaves the doll, and that's the little Christmas miracle because
The giant serial killer doll, like
yeah,
It was the same size, but
it's the
I
same
don't know, I
size
had
as
dolls
Lupita.
like there were dolls.
And
like
then
that
she
when I was
has this wonderful Christmas soliloquy at the end that I don't know if her mouth is even moving. It's just a lot of dubbing over top of her staring out of a window.
Yep, Christmas miracle.
And then it's the nice message to follow the will of God at the end, right?
Of course, yes.
Oh, yeah, the very Catholic message to believe in Jesus Christ and all that stuff.
Well, Santa says it too.
Yeah,
Just as he's
several
leaving,
times.
he's like, "We will go, and we will go with the Son of God and deliver joy." And they're like, "Yeah."
Yeah.
And I was actually thinking the way this movie was going that he would show up.
I'm not convinced that Santa isn't God, but
well, we had Merlin.
Well, no, I
and-
think they were going with like the Saint Nicholas handle, the actual like saint angle. I thought was what they were trying to get at.
maybe.
even though he looked like Coca-Cola Santa Claus.
Narrator is still God. Did you notice when Pitch was getting told by Lucifer to like go and do evil or whatever it is demons do, while he's doing his interpretive dance around that steaming pile, that they kind of like obscured Lucifer's face, but like he totally looked like Santa. Did you guys catch that?
No, all
Like,
I
it
could
was
see
like
was
a-
just fire.
Well, it was like a beard talking in behind the fire.
I don't know if it was that. I think it was just a cave.
Is Santa his
I don't
own
know.
worst enemy? Find out next episode.
I think Jeff is seeing things.
Yeah.
That the rest
Oh,
of us
well,
aren't.
yeah.
just
a lot
just
of people
going
were seeing
real
things.
deep in this.
Yeah,
Jeff
he's-
saw
he's-
Stonehenge.
I
he's
saw
digging deep.
Stonehenge.
Okay, well, before we move on, favorite moments for each of us. Amy, let's start with you. What was your favorite moment of craziness in this crazy movie?
Oh, jeez. I can't even think of anything. You have to go on to someone else.
Okay, I'll go. The doll dance. Like, I want to keep it. It's so bonkers. I like the fact that there's a dream sequence with like evil dolls encouraging children to steal.
Yeah, well, I mean, the two big moments of
My
evil in
favorite.
this movie are both like the demons dancing in hell and that influencing the dream. That Pitch is influencing the dream, and I kept thinking like interpretive dance is evil. that's what demons do.
No, it's not evil. It's what you use it for, whether it's evil.
Oh, it's their smoking gun.
Interpretive dance doesn't kill people. People kill people. Sorry. I had to do that.
Awesome. Jeff, I mean, you saw things in this movie that nobody else did, so.
Nobody else. I liked a lot of this movie. I think it's a fucking brilliant movie. But I have to say, because I watched it multiple times, that parasol scene, it's not super exciting. Just the way it's done is so bizarre and so ridiculous. And like he could have like walked down the fire escape faster than that parasol. I don't know, the parasol scene.
It was a hospital elevator level of
Oh my
movement.
God.
For me, it was here's this creepy person giving drinks to the rich kid's parents.
Yeah.
These smoking drinks. And it was such a crazy scene. Like, you don't see Santa Claus. I think it was an afterthought scene.
Yeah.
Because you just see his hands with holding the tray with the drinks.
Yeah.
And,
He's wearing a black
but he's
suit.
completely honest of what the drinks are. And I'm like, okay, here's this crazy person, and he's basically telling you that this is going to kill you if you aren't in love with each other.
Or if you don't have love or something like that.
Yeah, in your hearts or something. And
it's very outside the whole narrative, too.
And I'm like, well, you're obviously very confident to do this. And Amy is also party girl, so she's totally up for it. Yeah. Let's do some shots with this stuff.
Let's do shots. They could kill you.
It's pretty intense.
You only live once.
Absinthe... Lightweight.
It was about remembering things, and I'm like going, no, I
These
drink
people
to forget.
did actually forget their child.
But that's the weird thing. Like, they were neglectful, but in a weird way, for most of, like, I don't know, the movies I had growing up, when the parents were neglectful, it's like, oh, I have to work all the time. Like, there was another purpose for which they were neglectful. These two just seem to just not want to spend time with their child.
They just like to party. There's nothing wrong with
that. Their friends left, and they intended on staying the rest of the keep because they were like with another couple.
Yeah, and then they went, we're going to go to a restaurant. Drinking. Yeah, we're going to go to a restaurant and keep drinking.
If Rusty gets bored, he'll practice piano.
But hey, the Grinch had a key party, so...
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
You know, maybe this is just a thing at Christmas time.
There's a lot of Christmas swinging that goes on in movies pre-1970.
Well, I don't know how we keep stumbling upon these erotic Christmas moments.
We go from swinger Christmas to shitters full. Like, it's quite a change in the 80s.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's get into the real fun of this.
Yes.
Let's remake this fucker.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's what this episode's about, and as crazy and nutso and bad as this movie is, there is something really fun in this movie. Mm-hmm. So we like to start with fantasy casting. I don't know who's got what, but Amy, do you got a fantasy cast for this movie and an idea? Because I think in as far as this movie goes, I think we're going to have the most diverse ideas.
Yeah,
with this presentation, and certainly in my case, I got to explain my movie while I'm explaining my cast. So I think just give us your ideas and who you'd cast in this film.
Yeah, and no pressure with that setup at all.
No.
Yeah.
No, you'll disappoint a bunch of children out there who shouldn't be listening to our podcast without parental supervision.
Sure. After what we've just been talking about?
Oh, my goodness.
Yes, I do put explicit on our podcast for a reason.
Well, I think John Goodman as Santa Claus.
That did come to mind.
Yeah.
Came across me, too.
Michael Richards as Pitch, I believe. Just
Good.
I was
inspired
inspired by his look. And leave all the children the same. It looks like they might need no money, so...
Or just do what they did. Just pick up random children off the street.
Yeah. So more children.
Yeah. Just troll orphanages.
I didn't bother casting the children because my movie's going to deviate quite significantly anyway. So you could just pick up whatever child actor flavor of the week is, because I don't know my child actors very well anyway.
And I looked around. It's hard because the thing is, like, we could cast them now.
We've hit this wall before, so we're just not up to date on our child actors.
Disney flavor of the week, really.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, because they all turned into crazy adults. So
hey, Annette Funicello was great from beginning to end.
She was the last of the greats.
Kurt Russell.
No, okay, but he comes from that generation. Mm-hmm. It's the modern ones that are now in their 20 to 30 range. They're all seem to be absolutely batshit crazy.
Or maybe it's because it's more. Cyrus. Or maybe it's because you can actually see it now. I think they all just
get cloned, and then the DNA starts breaking down once they get of age. They're all the sheep of the film.
They started mixing together DNA.
Now, okay, so that's your cast,
right?
What kind of changes? What would you do to update this film?
Less religious undertones, for sure. Mm-hmm. What else? I'd probably cut Merlin out of the movie completely.
What? Oh, no. Oh, no.
No more magic dust powder and magic keys.
Well, I'd maybe change things there, but yeah.
I make it a different kind of key.
Yeah, I was saying I can just blow the doors open or something.
Yeah, or no, I just think key card was like, boop, just he gets in.
I'd do away with the magic tech entirely, but that's just
what?
Me. Oh, you'll see. I've got a certain vision of mine, and that doesn't play into it. So yeah.
Yeah, and just play the theme of Seinfeld behind the whole thing. Okay.
The Santa Claus movie. There's nothing happens in the Santa Claus movie.
Now we're going to have to insert that into that.
That'd be cool.
Yay for post-production.
Nice.
Yeah, that's all my ideas.
What about like Satan versus Santa? Any like?
I feel like the battle could have been more epic.
Yes.
That dog, no. I want them fist fighting.
Oddly enough,
Actually
I still have a
Halloween,
dog.
Rocky style.
I still have a dog.
Yeah.
Nice.
I want to, full fist fight for the end.
Great
Just,
idea.
Have the devil tap out.
The sleigh, Sputniks.
Yeah, and of course, Sputniks for the sleigh. So it's reindeer.
I like
I
the
do like that
satellites.
idea.
All with reindeer names on them.
Yeah.
Actually, they should still look like satellites or Sputniks, but still have antlers.
Yeah, there we go.
Because, there's no aerodynamics in space.
Or no, just antlers painted on them.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Just on the side, just a name and antlers. That would work, because it's going to affect the aerodynamics.
Give me your cast.
Okay, my cast. I went a little bit different, because I was like, well, let's stick close to its Mexican roots. And here's what I did. I started with the director. I went with Guillermo del Toro.
One of our 4 directors on this show.
Yeah,
Awesome.
well, see, I thought about going there, and then I deliberately didn't because I go there often.
Yeah.
But it certainly plays to my vision.
And I bet
Yeah,
he
see, that's
watched
it. Because I want it, like I said, when I want, with that doll scene, is like, I want a Nightmare Before Christmas, like I want a Pan's Labyrinth type of feel to it. I want more of the darkness and the majesty and like
my
the
pitch
creation.
has no eyes. His horns are coming from his eye stalks and then wrapping around his head nice and tightly and then coming back around like ram's horns. I actually started drawing it and I'm like, it's not a visual podcast. What the fuck?
Well, you can put that on like our Facebook page.
I could.
If you'd like
maybe
to
I'll
see
finish
send
it
a self-addressed stamped envelope to Invasion of the Remake.
with a
Care of North Pole.
with a check.
With a check. Yeah, posted
Cashier's
page guy.
check.
And I struggled with Santa. I couldn't really find something. I was trying to find like a really good Mexican actor because I wanted to keep it Mexican. I didn't want to whitewash this movie,
Danny
guys.
Trejo.
Did not want to whitewash it. Actually, no, he's in here.
Perfect. He has to be.
There was a guy I kind of passed by. This guy's just sort of a placeholder until I could find somebody else. But he's coming up. Damien Bichir. He was in Weeds, the TV series, and
I
also
only watched one episode.
Also, is coming out as the Mexican in the Hateful Eight. So he will be an up and comer. We could get him in cheap on this one. So that would
Opening
be good.
soon in theater near you.
Yes.
Yippee-ki-yay.
I kept Merlin, but I made him younger and more impish and not so stupid. So I went with Gael Garcia Bernal. I made him like just a young kind of kid. I kept the blacksmith, who I made Danny Trejo,
Yay! Danny Trejo.
because I want him in this movie. I think it would be wonderful.
Can he glue on the same orange chest hair that the guy in this movie had?
Oh, I don't want that for Danny Trejo.
It was great. You could tell there was a fan because
I want tattooed Danny Trejo. That's what I want. I want like behind bars Danny Trejo to be Vulcan. And then like I didn't really have anything. Lupita, I couldn't really cast. I'm like, because I might not really keep her. I might just keep like kind of different interlocking stories. I want it to be like where the devil and Santa are actually going to battle against like trying to make other people do stuff. Like I'm gonna ditch most of the stuff that happens at the castle. Like that's gonna be basically 10 minutes tops, 15 minutes. The entire movie's gonna take place when Santa's down on Earth. Like the idea of him being in space is fine, but it's more of a side note to what I want to do.
Right.
I also had for what did I have for Pitch the Demon, not Mexican, but I like him, John Leguizamo. I want him to be in there. I love him. I think he's great.
Because he needs to be on his knees for one more movie yet.
I think he would be great. And like for what I did is I got rid of the children, and I think I should just have elves, and like have just anybody who could do it. Just a large bunch of elves, that adult elves that know what they're doing, and possibly you can think, hey, maybe this is a corporation and not a giant slave labor camp. But yeah, like, and the stuff, I'm keeping the stuff with the doll because that's going to be part of like a tempting thing for like maybe one child, but like have a few interlocking stories, get rid of the sociopathic boys, ditch them wholesale, but have it mostly basically kind of a back and forth with the devil and Santa going head to head when it comes to like individual people. That's sort of what my vision of it is. But like with that, like I say, that Pan's Labyrinth, more of a fantasy feel.
Yeah, I was thinking along my lines too. I was thinking that dark gothic fantasy aspect, but more would still keep it PG-ish.
Yeah, like we were talking before, like it's a Gremlins. It's scary, but it's not like for too scary.
Yeah, the dark fantasy kind of idea. What do you got, Jeff?
Not a whole lot. I like the idea of crafting it into like an anthology style movie where you would have like 3 or 4 stories that encompass like, you know, the kids struggling with not having enough and like wanting to steal. And
individual stories along his journey.
The 3 stories should be good, but could be compartmentalized.
Yeah.
With an overarching story. I think eliminating the religious overtones in this movie
for sure.
is not something I would do. One of the things I was thinking of watching this movie, which also backs up my theory that this thing hadn't been invented in 5 or 6 years, was that if you took that kind of weird spirituality out of it with the demon and Santa and whatever else, and the mysticism, that you're just making a Krampus movie and like, hey, we have like 50 of those now, so it's not a big deal. Yeah. Also, if Krampus did exist, it would be in this movie, so supports my theory that Krampus was invented 6 years ago for angry douchebags who want to have something to look forward to for the holidays. But so I would like maybe give a little backstory, because Santa said something to their age. I don't know if you caught that.
Yeah, he said he's a few centuries
younger, but
Lucifer.
clearly that they know each other.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that maybe there's like something that happened, and maybe Pitch is like a fallen Santa or something weird like that.
Well, I like the idea of there being and that may be one of your compartmentalized stories, is that story, that backstory.
Yeah, that would be your
between
lead in, would be like, okay, there's some history with Santa and this demon. It doesn't have to be the devil specifically. I'm liking the idea of a fallen Santa. Like, why can that not have existed? And if it's interplanetary, you could go anywhere. This movie's pretty broad in stroke, so I don't know. I like the anthology idea. I think that there needs to be some kind of history and a clear direction for the demon, because like it's kind of like nonsense,
it's
right?
abstract. It's like, just do kind of this thing, and it's not.
Yeah, sort of make kids act like jerks, and then near the end plot to murder Santa Claus,
like,
and not even like just to kill him, like have him die of starvation,
or which is part of it. But or you could have it like where the anthology part of it is the devil has given him, like you say, a very clear mission, but these are specific targets that the devil wants done. Like maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, and that's something I was thinking of with the child labor force. I actually kind of like that aspect of the movie, but I thought that maybe you could establish it as being a sort of a reward system. It would be like, oh, if you were extra good just before you hit that age where you no longer believe in Santa or whatever, that you would get to go up and like renew your faith in Christmas or whatever. But that the targets could be like these kids that were going to like be rewarded by hanging out in Santa's.
But see, that doesn't seem
like
a
reward. And it totally
reward.
would be like a way over the top Pee-wee's Playhouse cast.
But maybe make it like...
I kind of figured you'd go there.
But could you make it look like a reward and not like a punishment to be making toys in the snow all the time? Like,
play your ukulele and shut up.
It looks like just another version of hell. Like, it just doesn't look right.
Well, at least you have country appropriate costuming.
True.
Well, those poor naked Africans in the snow.
Oh.
My God.
But to be fair, actually, there's one other thing I forgot to add that I'd like to keep in there, where they have Lupita's idea, like, or at least a storyline with her where it's, Santa doesn't like me, but it's because she's poor. Mm-hmm. Like, to maybe talk to that.
The whole,
poor children who are always thinking, oh, Santa just thinks I'm an asshole.
Visit poor people?
Or like, why?
That's tragic.
Why would he just?
That's a good
I can be as
commentary.
good as I want, but it doesn't make any goddamn difference.
And
I think that's
on it
more relevant now with the separation of classes these days.
Oh, for sure.
You know, the 1% and stuff. It's getting the middle class is slowly disappearing, and I think that particular story might even be more relevant now.
Oh, for sure.
So that would be, I think, something I'd keep at least as a smaller story within the structure of the film, for sure.
Exactly.
Because it's still a Christmas movie, so you need something with a little bit of heart.
Yes.
In there. Yeah.
Totally, and that's what her purpose is in this original.
Yeah, like even in the face of what's the word? Even in the face of like a struggle, an ongoing struggle, she still chooses to remain good.
Yeah, and that is, I think part of the strength of the film. So, that stays.
And I leave the parasol.
You're going to fight for that parasol.
Tooth and nail.
Well, my movie gets rid of all of that craziness, the mouth machine. And,
oh, that's just so unnerving.
I'm going the dark gothic look of this film. I like the kingdoms idea. I don't particularly like that they're in space, but I like the idea of these fantasy kingdoms, and I would think I kind of flash back to Narnia.
See, for me, the space thing makes sense because then they can't find it. Like, why can you never find Santa's workshop? Because it's in space.
But they don't really see pitch. I would get rid of the sand and the flower as well.
Yeah.
Like, these are mystical beings, and they don't operate on the same plane of reality as the rest of us. So I'd have this rather detailed fantasy world where, Santa has his castle. That's why Merlin's there. Because even though this is a heavily Catholic film, you have all these mixtures of mythologies and stories.
Yeah, like Greek mythologies.
And there's paganism and all sorts of stuff in here. So let's embrace all that. Let's embrace all that. So, there's the Greek mythology, and these are all separate kingdoms, and you could really expand on that as a fantasy world. And now you've got your fantasy, the fantasy bad guys. You'd have Lucifer and sending pitch to, on his annual war with Santa Claus. And I like the backstory that Jeff kind of was hinting at, and I think we could build upon that of the thing with Pitch. Now, Pitch for me, it'd be small and wiry. I wouldn't cast an actor to play him specifically because my guy is probably CG mocapped because I want him kind of creepy crawling on people when he's influencing them and literally, wrapping around and sitting on their shoulders and almost snake-like. Or monkey-like. He'd be pretty creepy looking,
Would he be like a shapeshifter type of deal too?
No, because he's not being seen. He's passively influencing.
Okay.
He could still influence reality in some respect, but because these are mystical beings. Mm-hmm. So let's get into my cast a little bit. For my director, I had Jean-Pierre Jeunet. He directed Amélie, A City of Lost Children, and Delicatessen. So
nice.
My really twisted world is very supported with this guy.
Delicatessen, I can see how that... Oh,
yeah, initially I was thinking Guillermo del Toro, but I'm like, these guys have a similar aesthetic, and I use Guillermo a lot. So
well, I would
hire Guillermo's special effects people, though.
Oh, yeah, no, that's the other reason I went with Guillermo, because I wanted Alfonso Cuarón to be part of it.
Yeah. So I went with that visual aspect, and he's already done a Twisted Santa Claus, so we can go back to that well a little bit. Now, I was a little torn by my Santa Claus. I could do badass, very serious Santa Claus, which would have been Ray Winstone, because he's already starting to look like him.
Oh.
Or I could go a little more fun, and my fun Santa Claus was Jeff Bridges. But both would change the tone of the film.
Yeah, like Jeff Bridges is Amélie and Ray Winstone is Delicatessen.
Yeah, so I'm not sure which one I'd embrace. I mean, with my vision, I think Ray Winstone fits a little bit better, as much as I like the idea of Jeff Bridges in that role.
But maybe if you're, I don't know, it depends, like the tone. Do you want to go like full-on gothic scary, or if you want a lighthearted gothic,
I still wanted
you could have Jack.
Accessible to children, so, somewhere in that Gremlins level of scary, right? Or even Edward Scissorhands kind of level. That gothic look without being
then maybe
inaccessible.
Go light on your Santa Claus.
So I was thinking maybe Jeff Bridges would lighten things up a little bit, because Ray Winstone, there's a Santa Claus I wouldn't piss off.
If it was a horror movie Santa Claus, I'd be like Ray Winstone all the way.
Yeah. So
he'll scare the crap out of anybody.
He would. My pitch is voiced, and maybe you could use him as mocap too, was Tom Hiddleston.
Oh,
I was thinking Loki, kind of, because he's the trickster, he's the liar, right? So Loki just instantly popped in my head, and that
I could
voice.
Listen to him all day.
There you go. And of course, you need a boss for pitch, so I had Ron Perlman voicing Lucifer. I'd still keep him off camera as the voice of Lucifer, but
it'd be him or Clancy Brown. Right?
Yeah, and I still have Merlin because I want to keep those kingdoms. And Merlin, I'm not sure exactly now that I'm eliminating technology, but maybe you could still have that sand or something that makes people fall asleep or whatever.
But make it look like a crystal meth type of deal.
Or maybe he's instead of influencing the children, because these are things that I think are inherent part of Santa Claus per se, he's the one that kind of arms Santa Claus, because this happens every year.
Yeah.
Pitch is there to fuck things up every single year. So he's kind of, him and Vulcan are the ones who kind of arm Santa Claus
between
in his
the two of them, like kind of a James Bond Q type of deal.
In a way, yeah.
Oh, that would be fun.
Now, I didn't cast Vulcan, but I did cast my Merlin.
Make him Danny Trejo.
And I wanted to keep him a little fun, as a little bit of comic relief, but not ridiculous where he's clopping everywhere he walks. But I wanted him to be a bit snarky, and I'm trying to embrace certain legends with Merlin. So if we're going present day, like, he's an old man in Camelot's time, and in the legend he ages backwards, so he'd be young in my movie, or younger, and I went with a snarky Dylan Moran in that role, where he's a little more snarky, sarcastic.
That's true. He'd be great as Merlin.
Yeah, so
he would be so unhelpful.
That's how I wanted him to be, snarky and just a
Bernard Black David.
Yeah, I was thinking Black Books when I was casting him, and I'm like, I want him to be as snarky as Q is to Bond, right?
Oh, then he would totally do that.
Yeah, so that's kind of my idea.
Love that idea.
Wrapping around, and I would totally embrace your anthology style bridging stories. They'd be separate stories that would kind of flow together within the body of the film, like Trick or Treat did.
Yeah, or like Love Actually type of deal, where they're sort of related, but
yeah, so you'd have these little personal stories. I mean, I would definitely do the history with Santa's Pitches, one of your stories as your lead in, and I would probably close with Lupita on a feel good note, or that Lupita-esque idea. And I don't know if you could do something fun in the middle, but now that you've set up these kingdom things, I would end up with something a little bigger, rather than chasing Santa up a tree. I would have him finish his rounds, and maybe Pitch gets a little bit of upper hand on his way back, and now you can have something happen in the fantasy lands that they live. There's no space. But now you could have, because we've got Greek mythology happening in Merlin's time and all this stuff. So, here's your opportunity to do something big, Lord of the Rings, Narnia-ish.
True. Like, it might not even be just Pitch. Like, it's Pitch and like some of his other demon buddies.
I would bring in more things like that. Half your movie happens on Earth, and the other half of your movie happens in those fantasy lands. Because let's face it, if you're going to spend that kind of money to do all this, let's make it look big and grand. Yeah. Right? So, let's put giants and centaurs and all sorts of crazy, awesome stuff in there, right? And embrace all mythologies, and that takes out the heavy Catholic tones while still respecting them. But you're respecting all these other legends and mythologies and whatnot, because they all exist. They're all viable, because the version of Santa Claus is a little different depending on which region of the world you're in. So let's just embrace all of these little things, because Santa Claus isn't a Christian idea. It became a Christian idea, a Catholic idea, but it has groundings in paganism as well.
Yeah, and I think the original idea where Santa Claus was first documented is the where Turkey is now was the origin of that story. So it's not what we think of as the Coca-Cola. It's not very Christian. It's not like UK.
I'd make my Santa Claus look a little bit more in that historic look, not that Coca-Cola classic look. I would take the red away and get into that more greens and that leafy look.
I wonder, would you change him for to stay with the mythologies of it? Would you have him sort of slightly different where he was delivering presents? Because he would be different in those places, if you're looking at the mythology.
I think it would be different depending on the belief.
He has a different outfit in Germany. He's
I think
because he's changes on the sleigh.
And that's something.
No, he just magically transforms.
Ooh, how about this? Because children have a much more different perception of the world than adults do. Adults can't see him, but children Maybe that's why
children
they
might have the possibility.
Maybe that's why they have to go to sleep, because they have the possibility of seeing it, because they have a much more open view of the world. And that's where you would have
an adult he doesn't have to worry about.
Yeah, and this is where the different perceptions of how he would look in those regions would be. And this is the magical aspect of Santa Claus or St. Nicholas or however in those regions. And so his view, his look would shift depending on the perception of those children.
Yeah.
Ooh.
See, there you go. Because it's like you're saying, we're dealing with all the mythology. You've kind of got to encompass all the Santa Claus mythology, which does change, and there are differences all around the world.
See, this movie I'd see.
See, that's a great thing. There's the nugget of this idea is brilliant.
It is.
And within this nugget of idea, a great movie can be born.
Yeah. Well, at least a good one.
I think it could be a great movie. I think it would be a fantastic, enjoyable movie.
Thing I thought that was truly unique about the 1959 Santa Claus was that it was trying its best to be as inclusive as possible, rather than showing like one version of.
Oh, well, that's why they had all the different
right?
types of children held there.
Different types of children, and
it was trying to be inclusive while throwing Catholicism down their throats at the same time. It's more like a bunch of different puzzles pieces from different puzzles being shoved together into.
No, they dropped all the boxes and they swept up a couple and were like, "Well, fuck it, we'll just make this, right?" But instead of being so one-sided like Miracle on 34th and It's a Wonderful Life and stuff, which is all very one. This is how this Christmas legend is. This one was trying to work everything in, which I admired in that movie. I thought it was good. So that needs to stay. You need to have all that stuff.
Okay. So now we've got some good structure here. Anything you want to add to this one, Amy?
Yeah.
I think we got it in structure of a fairly good movie now.
Oh, no, I think you guys just about covered it. I can't think of anything else I would add.
Definitely you have to have a different sleigh. I love the idea. I love Amy's sleigh. No, not creepy robot sleigh.
I want
modern sleigh.
I want reindeer, man. Mine's a fantasy world, so I want giant reindeer.
I want Matt Damon's pulling the sleigh.
There we go, yes.
Wearing antlers and a big red nose. And
no shirts, antlers, pulling the sleigh.
She just wants a bunch of hot guys with no shirts on the sleigh. This is now we're doing the porn parody.
No. Well, no. If you're taking all mythologies, you can have shirtless Matt Damon centaur pulling the sleigh.
No centaurs. Then it's slavery.
The horse part is no.
Yeah. Come on. It'll be fun.
No Matt Damon giant horse cock.
Yeah, I was going to say that, but I thought, no, Jason's got this.
Yeah. I do. I got it covered. Whatever bad thing, whatever line that we shouldn't cross, I will cross that line for you.
I was just thinking that phrase needs to be cut out of this episode, not like permanently, but just so we can use it as a header for every.
At some point, one of our fans will make a dance remix.
Matt Damon Horsecock. Hashtag Matt Damon Horsecock.
Hashtag.
Save Matt Damon.
Okay, well, you guys can always be a part of the conversation. You can join us over on Facebook. We have a Facebook page, Invasion of the Remake, and Twitter. We're on Twitter, at Invasion Remake, and of course, you can email us directly at invasionofthemake@gmail.com. And of course, tell your friends about the podcast. We're on Stitcher, we're on iTunes, Player FM. Tune in and a bazillion other podcatchers. Just let everybody know that search us out and spread the good word about the show and do us a solid. And of course, rate, review, and subscribe. It helps us out immensely in getting us up on the boards. And who knows, maybe we'll at some point that'll attract advertisers, but I don't know. Are we those corporate shills? Are we going to bow down to our corporate masters?
We've just spent a few episodes just talking about the commercialization of Christmas.
Yeah, I'm not going to say that we're not either, because I'm not. I won't object to a check or two.
No, you take it, and the Grinch will come and steal.
This is how this starts.
Yeah. That's true. I just want the equipment and my hosting to get covered at some point. But I'll do this for free for the rest of my life if I have to.
For sure,
this is a fun podcast to do. So, and let's face it, Hollywood is never going to let us go on the remakes ever.
No, we will keep doing this until they stop.
A couple new ones that just got announced. Where you guys keep up on that?
I think was it Logan's Run?
That's been in the talks for a long time.
But yeah, it seems to be getting back on track again. Logan's Run. I'm kind of waiting to hear more on Flash Gordon. I think we're going to see a lot of. I think we're going to see a lot of revisiting that spacefaring sci-fi stuff. Let's face it, that happens every time Star Wars kicks up. So
yeah, there'll be more.
if it's actually successful,
what makes you think it won't be?
Yeah, no, it already is and hasn't opened for us. It has for you listening to us.
Tickets is already doing
this
fine.
This is airing on the 30th, so it's already been open for a couple of weeks, but. For us, it hasn't opened yet.
Did you guys check out Electric Boogaloo, the story of Canon Films?
No, still have to check that out.
I didn't even know this existed. I would totally watch this.
Yeah, it's incredible. Such a great documentary. I watched it on Netflix, on American Netflix. So if you have a PS3 or a Xbox or whatever, you can watch it on American Netflix. It's easy. But really, really interesting. They talk a bit about some of the sci-fi that they had made. And like Canon Films, kind of is famous for a certain style of movie.
Yes, they are.
But one of the things that they mentioned about science fiction was that, we kind of went... Oh, and you know what? And it isn't even this documentary. That was a great documentary. What I'm talking about is a documentary about Star Trek. There's a documentary about the creation of the Next Generation that was written, directed, interviewed by William Shatner.
Oh, yeah, I heard about this one.
Yeah, I can't remember what the hell it's called, but terribly interesting to see.
I hear it's not overly favorable to Roddenberry, though.
Well, it's that stage in his life, right?
Where he was very ill.
Very ill and crazy and whatever. But they all, gush about what a visionary he was.
Okay.
So speaking of science fiction and, dipping back into the well of old science fiction, they made a comment that rings very true that, science fiction, probably from the 50s was kind of all anti-nuclear stuff and Cold War fear-mongering and whatever, but kind of later in the 60s and 70s and into the 80s and stuff, it was all very not as idealistic looking forward to the future, but there was always all this great stuff that was to come with science fiction. And in recent years, it's all this super dark dystopian stuff. And every single one you get, it's the end of something, the end of the world, an invasion, blah 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 blah. And it would be nice if they dipped back into the science fiction well to bring back some of that
the
hopefulness and visionariness and need for exploration and growth and progress. Would be nice to see that come. I think
people are kind of yearning for that. The Mars exploration seems to be the next thing. That's where people are going to go next.
But do you think it's also where the time frame of it is? Looking at the world, right? When you look at the state of the world, when there's hopeful science fiction, there was a lot of upheaval, but there was a lot of people fighting to make the world a better place, and maybe that's where the hopefulness comes. Mm-hmm. And now you look around the world, oh, stuff's going downhill. Maybe that's why it's dystopian.
The space exploration should have never slowed down the way it had, but because a lot of that's funded by U.S. military at the time, they just channeled that elsewhere. But now you're getting these super rich guys who are getting into the game as well, and new technologies are being developed to make it more viable. And we're at a point, it's not just hopefulness, but we're at a point where we need to start exploring soon and need to start branching out. It's not going to happen in my lifetime, but... it's at a point where we need to find more planets sustainable for us.
Well, where's that Earth 2?
That's
on the
Brown.
Flash.
That's an awesome show. I love that. That's one seat. Let's talk about that television show, Earth 2. Tim Curry.
Oh yeah, I love that show.
Tim Curry was
I totally remember.
He lived in a satellite, and Clancy Brown had long curly hair. That show was fucking awesome.
Yeah, it was only a one-season show,
and
but
the aliens
look great on that show.
The Terrans healed a crippled kid, and he can walk and communicate. That was a great show.
You guys can get that on DVD off Amazon. So I got to create an Amazon portal for us. Maybe that's how we get some revenue.
There we go. Because Amazon, the giant corporation.
I'll take a little bit of their dollar.
We have to. They're taking everybody else's.
Yeah, we need some media that isn't, and by media I mean movies and books and things, that is less afraid of things and more just forward looking.
Yeah, I don't feel like we have that in film right now.
We totally don't. I can't think of a movie I've watched.
I think it's because people. It's
wow.
I think the video games are doing more of that than we are.
We've been stuck in the same type of conflict for decades now. And it's sort of like to be stuck in it this long, you can see why there's no way forward.
There's been a couple of...
Before then, max, most of our wars, like 6 years.
Yeah,
max.
There's been a couple of decades now of fear-mongering, and, it's time to be brave and explore these new ideas, and it's okay to do so. I mean...
Go ahead. Make a 1950 Santa Claus movie with the devil and Merlin and... Kiwi Playhouse.
Oh, I mean, we're in such a fucking PG or PC generation right now too, where it's like you can't have the devil that's teaching against Satanism. And, well, come on, it's it's all
we can't
fantasy.
have African.
Well, that's the thing with all the mythology.
Drums.
That's the great thing. Like if you
Embrace it
embrace
all.
all the mythology, that's the only thing I had.
That's how
problems
you
with
can
it.
get around it a little bit too. Is because inevitably some hate group is going to.
Well, that's
pick
what
at
I
a
felt was the
theater,
whole
right?
idea to go back with, like, we want to teach creationism in school.
I'm surprised
because it's another
they didn't
theory. Then I'm like going, yeah. But no, but here's the thing. I'm all for teaching creationism as long as you teach all the creationism, like every single version of it in every single culture all across humanity. If you want to do that, you get to have that. But if you don't, then fuck you. We're sticking with science.
Yeah, yeah.
Hey, Santa Claus.
Here's another controversial episode of Invasion of the Remake.
Sorry, that type of shit just gets to me. I'm all for
Mexican
having like
Santa
a devil
Claus
thing.
Didn't discount creation.
No, yeah,
It implied it.
I'm surprised even now, like thinking
But
about
I did like
the society
how he
at
said
the time that
the
didn't get
demon
picked.
was centuries old.
Yeah.
Maybe a little
Yeah, no, like-
anti-creationist.
Yeah.
I just that's the thing. Like if we add all the mythologies into my feel being more egalitarian about it, it's just easier.
Yeah, and it steers it away from any particular religious
Particular
bend.
faith.
Yeah.
And I think that's the point. Like the point of Santa Claus was the fact that it's gone through like all these different variations and then exists in all these different countries is because it's not the sole proprietary thing like that should be of one particular culture in any sort of form.
Yeah, when we've said this before that
it was always been said that he visits all the children around the world.
Yeah. Exactly. So
He's not going to be a dick about it if you don't exist in a certain place.
Santa's not a dick about it. Next time on Invasion of the Remake.
well, I think we've kind of covered it. Any last thoughts before we head out to our New Year's festivities?
In 2 weeks, yeah.
In 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
I'm trying to be topical for everybody who's actually listening to this on the 30th.
It's great. I don't know. I think this is it's there. This is why we started this podcast, is like a movie with a nugget of an idea.
Yeah, and I think this was our best choice as far as creating something new from something old.
Especially
That said, I did not like this movie at all.
Oh yeah. But if you want to check it out, it's on YouTube.
Yeah, watch it on
It is on YouTube. I think it's a public
And it's
domain
in entirety.
film,
It's public
so-
domain. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, just YouTube Santa Claus 1959 and you will notice it has the devil.
If
in
this
it.
seems familiar to some of you guys, it was covered on a Mystery Science Theater 3000 episodes. So,
Was it?
Yes.
It's like 5th season somewhere.
Yeah, and actually the
Or
episode of
box sets 14?
the character of Pitch actually showed up in several other episodes.
Yeah, they wound up using him as
They
a regular
wound up using
cast.
the character as regular
Yeah.
cast.
You know what show I don't like? Mystery Science Theater. I'm just gonna say it. That show's dumb.
I don't know
I
if
wanna-
I've ever really watched
If
one.
I want to watch,
I've only
a movie,
enjoyed
I
a
have.
couple of them.
I have watched one.
If I want to watch a movie with a hilarious commentary, I'll invite some friends over,
Yeah.
and we'll watch a movie, and it'll be hilarious. I don't want to sit there and have someone else tell me what's funny about it.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But
'Cause
enjoy our podcast where we tell you about movies. Hypocrite, what?
as we've always sometimes discussed, maybe doing a commentary track. I think now that you just said that, I'm like, I'm going to take that off the table.
No, leave it on the table. We'll do it.
Leave it on. No,
We'll do it, and Jeff will eat it.
I admire that show for bringing movies that I like that kind of movie to the forefront, so it get a broader audience for things that you wouldn't normally ever watch. You know, like Laser Blast or EAG or whatever.
Or broader audience to the enjoyable experience of sometimes watching something that isn't great.
Yeah,
But
sometimes
there's
a Roger
just
Corman
wonderful
film is
weirdness
just what you
in there
need.
that you can just enjoy.
Yeah, totally. And that is exactly why I loved this movie because it is awash in weirdness.
It's insane.
I knew Jeff would really like this movie. It was hard for me to...
It's going in regular rotation.
I think we should have watched this all together because watching it by myself was hard. But if I got to watch this with other people and as an audience where we could have heckled the shit out of this thing...
If there's another struggle movie we come up with, we'll watch it together.
And... you vetoed Santa Conquers the Martians.
Yeah, I did. Because I didn't find anything redeemable in that one.
And this is like
this one's
same
amazing.
generation and same kind of movie.
No. This one is better.
Look, for an upcoming Christmas episode, maybe 2-3 years down the road, we are doing Santa Conquers the damn Martians.
The reason there was a good reason I chose this one and not Santa Conquers the Martians.
I don't know. With Star Wars have just opened, the Martians might have worked better, but we came up with something really awesome this episode.
Yes.
So.
Well, you two did. I just sat here.
I don't know. No. The anthology thing plays really good
great.
into this. So I mean, I think we all pieced together something.
And the fact
really
that
cool
having a fallen Santa hadn't even crossed my mind. That's a brilliant idea.
Yeah, and then Amy's.
Sputnik.
One person cast.
I love it.
Her all Matt Damon film.
Yeah.
Matt Damon in every role. I would watch that.
Matt Damon saves
the one man show.
It'll be a stage production.
That's right.
Matt Damon saves Christmas.
Yeah, a musical stage production.
Okay.
Songs by Elton John.
All right, well, thanks for joining us, Amy.
Thanks for having me.
Do you got anything to plug right now before we go?
I'm on Twitter at Amy_bug. It's bug with 2 G's, and that's about it.
Okay.
No upcoming shows post-New Year?
In Calgary, I'm trying to think post-New Year's. Hosting Red Carpet in February, but nice. I don't know. You can just Google that at redcarpetcomedy.com.
There you go. You have a podcast yourself, don't you?
Yeah, it's called The Fun Guzzlers. It's available on iTunes and SoundCloud. I do it with another local comedian named Brittany.
Innuendo.
Yeah, that's kind of where. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. Thanks, guys.
All right. Well, I'm Jason.
I'm Jeff.
I'm Trish. Amy.
and we're out of here. Well, sorry.
That's my line. That's my fucking line. I got one line.
Sorry, Invasion of the Remake is experiencing casting problems at this time. Please tune in next time.
And we're out of here.